Hello everyone, my name is Jesse, and welcome back to another Bakugan review, where today we're reviewing it's kind of like a part 2 of the Gundalian Invaders villains. We're looking at the 12 orders today. If you haven't seen like the first part, it is a little bit lower on the channel. It's a couple videos behind, but it is looking at the Gundalian agents. So we looked at those, and now we're looking at the 12 orders, which is kind of like the second half of the evil villains of Season 3. So we're going to be taking a look at them at a closer look. We're going to look at their G power, look at them and compare them against the show's versions, talk about some of their traits and what I think is cool about them and all of that. We'll mention their partners as well, and just kind of get an overall deeper dive into them, and also just look at a complete set. So we're not looking at any of the smaller, maybe lighter, random side character Bakugan. We're looking at the main villain. So if you haven't seen that first part, take a look at that first and then come back to this video. It might help you a bit. You don't necessarily have to watch them in order if you don't want, but definitely go check that video out. And yeah, let's get into this awesome review. So the card we're going to be using today to open all the Bakugan features Sabator and Chompix. It's a really cool card. It's called Golden Shot. It says Gold Gear gives their printed G power an extra time. So I'm not really sure what that means. I guess it means the G power just doubles, but it's very poorly worded. But it's a great card for Ventus and Subterra, so this works for Chompix very well, and we're going to be using that to open the Bakugan today. The first Bakugan I want to cover on our list today is Lythirus, also pronounced Lythirus in the show. It's interesting because the U is not there in the name, but they do pronounce it Lythirus in the show. I'm probably just going to use Lythirus. To me, that rolls off the tongue a little bit better than Lythirus, but you can use him either way, whatever. But yeah, let's go ahead and open him. He's got, a very classic Gundalian style with the red and a little bit of green here. So let's pop him open super quick and talk about him. So Lythirus has a couple manual parts. He's got this little crest, which I think is fantastic. It really kind of gives him some flair. It's got nice detail. It lets you know, yeah, he's an Aquos Bakugan. Then, of course, we have feet. Pop those guys open. And then Lythirus has these super neat claws, which kind of remind me of, Terror Claw. So, imagine him as, if he could evolve, Terror Claw was, an evolved form of Lythirus or something, or Lythirus was the evolved form or something like that. I think that'd be super neat. So here he is. We'll put up some pictures here as I talk about him, but this is Stosha's Guardian Bakugan. But Stosha's Guardian Bakugan, and then, I don't know, Lythirus has a really, really cool design. I really like him from the show, and he's one of the ones I remember the best because he sounds like a creepy Preyas. To me, he sounds a lot like Preyas, but more evil or sinister. He sounds a little bit like Shadow Prove 2, I guess, in the laugh from Season 2. But just that laugh and then the whole, voice sounds super similar to that. I think that's what it reminds me of. It helps me remember. So, my Lythirus here has 850 Gs, if you can see that there. So this is not a Japanese version. This, I'm pretty sure, came from, a European, a European country of some kind. Apparently they're really hard to find in America for some reason, especially at a decent price. So definitely not Japanese. We're going to go and lower his tail down here because the next thing we're going to talk about is his Battle Gear Razoid. So here's Razoid, and it's probably one of the coolest designs for me. We got to make sure we also push down his claws. Mine likes to get stuck a little bit, so we'll see. It always gets hooked on one part of the body. Go ahead and pop open Razoid. Oh, it popped right off his back. But yeah, let's go ahead and show you the G power here. 110 Gs, so if you add all this up, it's what, 960 if my math is correct, which is crazy for a Bakugan. But yeah, this is Lythirus with his Battle Gear Razoid, and I'll pull up pictures too. Again, just a really awesome design. I really, really, really love the design for this Bakugan. It's so unique, and I think that's what Gundalian Invaders actually starts to do with these Bakugan. You kind of see some changes start happening with this kind of set, I believe. At least in my opinion, things start getting a little bit different from where the Bakugan are flat to kind of getting some character. And we're talking about Krakix soon, and Krakix really kind of, to me, shows that. Let's go ahead and close the Battle Gear. So it closes right here at the top. Kind of reminds me of Air Core in a sense. And then you just got to be careful to get these claws in, so make sure you shut those and then lock those into place. Same on the back, and then it just folds together, and that's your battle gear completed. And then Lythirus is a bit different, so close his feet right here, close that crest or the horn or whatever it's called. And then with this one, you want to make sure that you get the head and the wings kind of in together, or the claws, whatever they are. So I like to kind of shut them all at the same time, just because those wings do like to get stuck, like you see. So I closed the head too soon. So if you close the wings first and then push that head in, usually you're pretty good. And then the tail obviously slips in. Reminds me a lot of Dharak. How you close Dharak, you'll see that later in the video. But yeah, that is Lythirus. Alright, now we have our Pyrus Bakugan Krakix. And I gotta say, I really like the design for Krakix. As I was mentioning a little bit earlier, like the horns on the head really give it a lot of flair. I think that's super, super neat. And you can even see his eyes poking out. Like, they took time to paint the eyes, which is crazy. But yeah, this is our Pyrus Bakugan. This one's Japanese, so the G power is going to be a bit lower. But yeah, let's go ahead and open him up. So, boom. It was blurry, my bad. But yeah, he's got two manual parts here. So feet, and then his hands pop out a little bit like Aeronaut. God, my focus is terrible, sorry. But yeah, that pops out, and boom, you've pretty much got Krakix in a nutshell. Now these do move. There's no real need to actually move them too much, because his battle gear will sit on him without it. But if you want to put different battle gear on, these hands can move all the way down if needed, but we won't need to do that. But yeah, this is Krakix. I'll pull up some pictures as I talk about him. So this is Gil's Guardian Bakugan. If you don't remember Gil, he was the guy who always wore red to match his Bakugan, so it was pretty obvious. I really like Krakix's design. It reminds me a little bit of Gorham, because he's like a kind of like a golem-ish, but imagine Gorham if he was Pyrus and a lava demon samurai. He's got a cool fiery aesthetic, you know, like that molten kind of design is really neat. And he's got some cool fire swords. I really like that. It reminds me a little bit of Dryoid, and you know, everyone's a sucker for a cool sword or whatnot. But one of the more forgettable ones, just because he didn't talk, like the only words he said was understood, which is kind of strange. But I guess it does match his character a bit, because he's like an unspoken samurai. But we got 520 Gs there. And we're going to take a look here at his gear, which is the Visor gear. So the Visor gear matches him pretty much perfectly. And like I said, it'll pop onto his back just fine. So there it goes. Popped it on. 200 Gs though. So I think mine is definitely the Japanese. So 720 Gs total. And it kind of just, you can't really see it. It gives him a lot of height, and it just, you know, gives him like some things to fight with, which is super cool. And I'll pull up pictures of what that looks like in the show as well for you. But it's a unique piece of gear. It's definitely one of the taller ones. I think it adds a lot of flair. But like I said, you know, before with a lot of these battle gear, I felt like, you know, they were very flat designed Bakugan until the battle gear. Krakix is one of those that I think doesn't lose flair if he doesn't have a battle gear. So I think that's kind of important to look at as well. But let's go and close this up. Super easy for Visor. All it does is kind of roll back into itself. You just got to make sure that you do it without, you know, hurting anything. That closes in. Come on, buddy. Got to make sure you hit all the tabs. There we go. That's Visor. And then Krakix is easy. There's also this tab I forgot to mention. You can pull out his Pyrus symbol and set him down if you really, really want. So I think that's kind of neat that you can just do that. And have him pop out a little bit more. It's not the most crazy thing in the world, but that goes in. Feet, hands go up just like Aeronauts, and then arms first. Arms go in first, so we have his arms right here. Arms first, and then head goes in. And that's Krakix. Okay, now we have our Ventus Bakugan Strikeflier. And I'm going to be honest, I don't have a lot to say about Strikeflier. I personally do not like his design. I don't have much to say. He reminds me too much of Plithion. I guess I will say mine's in really good condition. The magnet guard's fine. The Ventus symbol's perfect. It's barely scuffed at all or scratched. In fact, I don't even see a flaw on it. Yeah, let's go ahead and Open Strikeflier. We'll get him on the card. Oh, he didn't want to pop. Uh-oh, there we go. Yeah, I just don't have a lot to say. Let's see, 540 Gs, kind of on the arm there, if you can see. Yeah, I mean, yeah. That's quite the face. Yeah, let's go ahead and open him up. So he's got a couple different parts down here. I mean, if y'all like Strikeflier, get some Strikeflier love in the chat, but personally, he's just not my favorite. For me, it's just too similar to Plithyon, and it just gets confusing. But anyways, let's get the manual part. So you got the wings at the bottom, and then there are 2 wings right here, which are very easy to break, so be careful. And I mean, that's basically your Bakugan. Very flat, weird, creepy face. You know, just that's him. So this is Airzel, I don't remember how you pronounce it, Airzel's Guardian Bakugan. I feel like Strikeflier's in it a lot, but he's just super, super forgettable for me. And then, of course, we have his battle gear right here, which is the Battle Turbine, which, again, super similar to Plithion's. Let's go ahead and pop that on him. It goes right here on the back, so all we've got are these pegs, and then it'll pop right up. But yeah, let's see how many G's it has. I don't even remember. Where's it at? Way up here on the top. So it might be a little hard to see. 160 Gs. So again, this is a Japanese version. We're gonna pop Strikeflier's wings all the way down and make sure they're flat, and then just add his gear on to him. Again, it's a very tall one, so we're gonna make sure we get that on there properly. And yeah, that's Strikeflier. Very, very, very similar to Plithyon. I'll pull up pictures just so you can look. Yeah, I'm just not a fan. He doesn't set right with me. He doesn't set right with me, unfortunately. Let's go ahead and close him up. So Battle Turbine has the very similar mechanics to, you know, all the other tall gears in this design, but there's a little bit extra on this one where you gotta make sure these tabs go in. So you'll pop these tabs down. I always like to do the top one first. Sometimes they get stuck if not. And then you close this one, and you just gotta make sure you get it all together. I will say the Battle Turbine does have some nice, like, detailing, which is great to have in a battle gear. Even though it's like, as you can see, I'm struggling to close it. It's got some pretty difficult parts to actually shut. And then that locks into place, and then the like claw dangly bits, which just look like something you'd find on Lythirus. These pieces kind of close in, lock in together, and as you can see, it's just a mess. It's a mess how you close this guy. So again, another reason why I'm just like, Strikeflier, not a fan. But yeah, that's the battle gear as I struggled to close it. And then with Strikeflier, you just got to make sure you shut all the manual parts first. Close that little horn crest thing he's got. Wings go in, fold that tail in, and boom, you're done. That was Strikeflier. Alright, up next we have our Chaos Bakugan Lumagrowl, and I like Lumagrowl's design. I like the symbol here, it looks good where it's at. All that good stuff. Again, I have a Japanese one. I feel like Lumagrowl's better if we talk about him open, so let's pop him open. And there's a couple manual parts, so we've got feet here. So feet open first, and then hands actually pop out. Mine are a bit loose. Sometimes you get a stiffer one, and they won't flop around as much. You can actually like have them not pinwheel, but stay like up like this. Mine are kind of dangling. So yeah, Lumagrowl, let's talk about him. So Lumagrowl is Kazurina's Guardian Bakugan, and I feel like most people remember Kazurina as well as Lumagrowl because he was such a cool fighter. He uses like his tails in this like defensive / offensive mechanism. Like he can use them to create like a cage of protection around his body, which I think is super cool. Or like use them to shoot like swords. It's super neat. One reason I really like Lumagrowl is because he doesn't really show much emotion. He's like just a fighter. So if you like someone who's just a fighter, this might be the Bakugan for you. He also resembles like the Pokemon Ninetales. That's like the first thing I saw when I saw him, especially in ball form. Like you could totally custom paint this somehow into a Ninetales Bakugan. But it also looks like, you know, the nine-tailed fox from Naruto as well. So, you know, a little bit of lore there. It must be inspired from that, like that kind of Japanese history or those characters specifically. Let's go ahead and pop the battle gear on. So this is the Barrios gear. And this is by far my favorite gear, just because of what's about to happen. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this piece out because it's going to help stabilize the Bakugan. But Lumagrowl's got these tails here that pop down, so we've got that piece, and then the battle gear pops right on. And watch this spin. Let's see if I might have to zoom out just a bit to get this spin. Watch this spin. This is super cool how it works. Let's see if I can get it out. Nice. Yeah, kind of. So these pieces spin, which I think is super neat, and they actually like flare out and spin. So the Barrios gear is pretty cool. I'll put pictures up again so that you can see. But another fun fact about Lumagrowl is that he's technically the only surviving member of the original 12 Orders. So everyone else dies or switches sides in the case of Sabator, who we're actually talking about next. So in the case of Sabator, you know, it's a little bit different, but he's the only surviving member of that 12 Orders, which I think is crazy. Yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at the G power here. So 560 Gs on the actual Bakugan. You can see that it's right by the neck. And then the Barrios gear has 180, so pretty strong. Let's get that to zoom. 180, so pretty good. Again, this is all Japanese, so let's close the Barrios gear. So the key thing here is this actual piece that clicks in. So you want to make sure that you shut this piece first and then lock that into place. And the other two pieces just fold in. Super easy to close that Barrios gear, and then just shut that stabilizer piece and you're done. Very, very simple. Lumagrowl can be a bit more complicated. I like to start here with the feet, so close those feet up as much as you can, and make sure you fold the hands in because you will get stuck with those. Now the trick with Lumagrowl is there's a tab here. This tab right here needs to be not like this, it needs to be facing in. And when you go and close it, you'll fold Lumagrowl's head in, and then push him down like that, and then that tail piece will actually lock into place there and fold in, so his tails kind of like cover him up and shield him. And yeah, that's Lumagrowl. Definitely a really cool character in the show. Alrighty, we're now on to Subterra, and we're looking at Subterra Sabator. Quick thing, mine's missing paint right here. No idea why. If you kept up with any of the channel lore or on the Discord, I struggled to find this thing. I bought one sealed for a really great price, and it only came with the Chompix gear. It didn't come with the actual Bakugan. It was in absolutely terrible condition. And so I had to find another Sabator, which I paid slightly overpriced for, but the seller I bought from I really liked, so I wasn't too unhappy about that. But yeah, just an absolute terrible time getting this Bakugan. But let's talk about Sabator, because he's got a super cool design. Let's pop him open. Alright, so initial thoughts, nothing great. We do have to open him up a little bit. So the tail piece is here, so we open his tail. He's got horns here in the head, so these will all kind of pop out. So we just got to raise the horns up. And then, of course, we have feet all over the place. So we've got hands here, and then feet in the back that open. And this is like the initial, when you set him down, this is like the initial. Now, I know there's like so yeah, something like this is what Sabator is supposed to look like. And you'll see why I say something like this in just a second, because Homeboy can bend in all kinds of crazy ways. But this is Nurzak's partner Bakugan. You might remember Nurzak as one of the very first to kind of like betray the 12 Orders and come to the Bakugan like brawlers side. He's the older guy in the like series. So I feel like I forgot him a lot, but Chompix I didn't, because he's like the first Bakugan you get that's Subterra and not like a rock or a golem or something like that. You get a Minotaur, which I think is an appropriate Subterra Bakugan. I really like the Minotaur style, you know, the Greek design. And I just think it fits the theme of Subterra really well without necessarily being Subterra. He's got a very, very, very complicated ball form, so let's talk about it. It reminds me of like stuff from you see from like Baku, like the Bakutech series stuff, because his like body can like do all kinds of crazy stuff. So I mean, look at this. Like you've got that. His feet go back. These feet can go all the way up for some reason. Like there's so many. Like look at this. Like I don't even know what to say. It's just super, he's got crazy designs. This is 830 Gs right there as I'm looking at it. So this is not Japanese. This is definitely the American version. Yeah, like his back will bend down. Like look at all this design. And of course, this is all to make way for multiple battle gears. Specifically today, we're going to be looking at his battle gear, Chompix. So let's go ahead and put Chompix down. Chompix looks cool, but he looks even cooler when it's on the Bakugan. So let's see if I can even... It's just so, the design is crazy on this. So let's go ahead and put it on. Might need to pop this one open here first. Yeah, there we go. And then let's flatten him out. There we go. So flatten him out and then put his gear on. Yeah, as you can see, the battle gear's got 50 Gs. So this is definitely the American version. It's strange that the colors aren't off. I'm not sure if the camera picks that up well, but the colors are two different colors. Like this is more of a sandy, like brown. This is definitely more of like a skin-colored brown, or pale or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, this is like kind of what he looks like. It's hard to describe, just because of how Sabator is, and he's a pain to close, as you can imagine. But here's him with his battle gear in the show, all that good stuff. I'm not even sure if I have him set up completely right because of just how crazy he is. But yeah, like I said, he ends up betraying or moving, switching sides because Emperor Barodius and Dharak, betray him, try to attack him and end him. So he goes to the brawler side, which I think is a cool part of the show. All the betrayal and stuff. The more I watch Gundalian Invaders, the more I realize like this isn't like a show or a kid's game anymore. Like they're on an alien universe trying to stop a war. So let's close the Chompix gear here. It's a little bit complicated, but we fold in the back tail piece first. I like to fold in these pieces next because they lock into the sides and you don't have to force anything. And then this piece simply just clicks it all into place. I don't know why, but this back piece always likes to pop out. Maybe do that last if you can. But yeah, that's Chompix gear. And then Sabator, as you can guess, is a nightmare, so do your best, especially if you've got his entire form out. Hands go in, tail goes in, make sure you get the feet all the way up, and just the more you fiddle with it, this reminds me of like early Transformers as a kid, because I could never get them to close. Just do your best. Eventually he will shut, so there you go. That is Sabator. Very interesting Bakugan for sure. Alright, and we're going to quickly talk about Dharak and Phantom Dharak. I've made videos on these before, especially in like the villains set I did for this particular series, so if you haven't seen that, check it out. But of course I'm going to cover these because if I don't, people are going to tell me I forgot them, and I'm going to try and redirect them to the other video, and they're not going to do that. So we're going to talk about these anyway, so I don't see the comments of, but you forgot Dharak, and you forgot Phantom Dharak, etc, etc. So this is Emperor Barodius' Guardian Bakugan, Dharak, however you want to pronounce it. I've always pronounced it Dharak, but I'm pretty sure it's Dharak. But I think Darkest Dharak is pretty hard to say, so I don't know, change it if you want, whatever. But yeah, he's the main villain of the season. Dharak's pretty common Bakugan. I feel like everyone's got one. If you don't, definitely get one. It's worth it. So the feet pop out here, and that's pretty much the only manual parts you ever have to worry about. Mine has 670 Gs, so right there. There's tons of different variations of this. My girlfriend's a big fan of Dharak. She likes to call him Toothless, and she's got a whole bunch of like her own collection where there's variations and different stuff. But yeah, Dharak, super easy. I'll pull up pictures of him so you can see the design. He's very different from the design in the show. I feel like the show left out a bunch of, or the toy left out a bunch of colors from the show and opportunities, like all the purple. I don't know why they would do that, because it makes total sense to do that, but I guess they're keeping with the color, the toy color scheme, if that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, he's one of the descendants of the original Dharak, so that's like part of the main part of the show. He's one of like the first 2 Bakugan ever created. He's one of those descendants. And yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at his battle gear. So this is Air Core. Air Core reminds me a lot of Lythirus' Razoid gear, and you'll see why because of this tab. But Dharak's wings pop down to make space, and then his tail goes down as well. And then all we do is pop that Air Core gear on, and boom. That is him in all his glory. I'll pull up pictures as well so we can talk about him more. But I do like Dharak. I think that his evolutions create a very unique segue into Mectanium Surge, which I'll talk about here in just a second. But I think that it does do a good segue into that. So let's take a look here at the Air Core gear. The G power is on the back, 50 Gs, so this is clearly the American version of that. I don't know why that's not focusing. There you go, 50 Gs. Yeah, let's close that Air Core gear. So man, this one always gives me a pain. So we'll close the back first, close this tab, and then you've just got to struggle to put these bendy pieces in. I don't know if there's like a special trick with it or what, but I have always struggled. Always struggled with this particular gear. Push it in just a bit and then make sure that that stays. Sorry, that was a little bit blurry, but I always struggle with Air Core. So that's Air Core there, done, and then Dharak's super easy. Like Lythirus, we'll close the feet, and then the head bends back all the way, tail bends in, so it kind of connects like Lythirus does, and then the wings just pop in and seal it, and that is your Darkest Dharak, however you want to pronounce it, done. Now we're on to our final Bakugan of the set. This is Phantom Dharak, and this is again Emperor Barodius' Guardian Bakugan, just the evolved form of Dharak. Let's talk about him. So let's pop him open. Boom. So as you can see, he kind of looks like a centipoid, and that's because we actually have to press a very special button, and that's right here. So he's part of that set that, you know, has like the extra G's once you open it. So we'll push that, and boom, the rest of him pops out, and all we got to do is lift up this horn piece here, and he's pretty much set, ready to go. He has 820 Gs. It's really hard to see. Let's see if I can get it to focus on the neck there. 820 right there. Mine's a little scratched and beat up, but let's set him here and talk about him. So Phantom Dharak does not have a battle gear. He never had one. It was never shown in the show. There are some people who like to substitute certain battle gear for him. I'm personally gonna leave it blank because the show never showed one, and so I'm not going to put one on. If anything, we just put Air Core back on him, which I'm not going to do because I don't want to open him back up. But yeah, he is the double strike Bakugan, so he's got this little piece you press to push things down. It's strange because in the show, so if you have the Bakugan open without the double strike, so I think this kind of helps substitute for a missing battle gear. So without that, he's got 820 Gs, right? You put him on the thing and you press the button and his things come down. He actually opens and gets 100 extra Gs. So that's what the battle, like the double strike does. So he just adds his Gs. Now, in the show, it's strange because Bakugan that had this feature, like Phosphos or Avior, however you pronounce it, needed an ability card to open all the way, to gain those extra Gs, regain those extra heads, or extend the neck. Phantom Dharak doesn't. Phantom Dharak just throws and opens out completely without needing to ever use this double strike feature. So I don't know if this design was intended just for the toy or overlooked in the show or whatnot. But it is interesting to sit there and think, like, why doesn't he need an ability card to fully open? Barodius also renames Dharak to Phantom Dharak, so it's unclear if Bakugan get new names or if they're renamed when they evolve, because it seems like every time Drago's evolved, he's gotten a new name from an ability card, but Barodius just renames him. So my theory is that because Dharak evolved because of Blitz Dragonoid's DNA, right? Because he can evolve, he shouldn't have an evolution. By the way, Phantom Dharak's evolution, massive. Absolutely love it. Cool design. My theory is that because Dharak was never meant to evolve because he's a Gundalian Bakugan, and Gundalian Bakugan cannot evolve, he had to be given a name. So Barodius named him. Unlike the other Bakugan, like the Vestroyan Bakugan that can evolve, they get new names with their ability cards, like Blitz Dragonoid evolving from Lumino Dragonoid. But for Dharak, he had to be named because he technically shouldn't have ever been able to evolve. Which is also interesting, because the whole story is about Dharaknoid versus Dragonoid. Why is Dharaknoid Gundalian and can evolve, but Dragonoid is Vestroyan and can evolve? I don't know. You'll have to let me know in the comments below about that one, because I feel like there's a plot hole or something. I'm not sure, but I have a lot to talk about. There's just a lot of deep lore there. So anyways, let's close up Phantom Dharak. So first, of course, you have the wings that go in and click into the side, and then he's kind of like a centipoid again, so then we just roll all his parts in. And yeah, that is our Phantom Dharak. Alrighty guys, and that is the entire 12 orders set. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know down in the comments below, who is your favorite of the set? Who's your favorite? If you had to pick one, which would it be? What's the coolest battle gear? And I hope you guys enjoyed. This video did take quite a while to make, with a lot of time and a lot of money involved, so please give it a like, give it a share, make sure to subscribe. We have just hit a little over 15,100 subscribers, which is insane. Thank you guys so much, and my name is Jesse. I'll see you all in the next video. Peace out. Hey, if you like this video, you should definitely check out one of these. I think you'll enjoy it.